So this recording is now going to talk about Crew Handbook. It's a new section we're going into called From Sketch to Stage. Let's take a look. This is in our modules. Let's go to modules so you can take a look at it. It'll be down in week 7 and 8, which we also have a midterm, as you can see. We will have a midterm on Wednesday. It'll be multiple choice. And I will want to see you thread your sewing machine. So we'll do a review on Monday, and then we'll do a midterm that will be talking about things that we've talked about from the beginning of the semester. How to work with millinery, how to do the jewelry, how the costume shop is organized. What do you look for in costume storage, and all of our sewing techniques and part of the Crew Handbook. Let's take a look at the Crew Handbook. So the Crew Handbook is subtitled From Sketch to Stage. You each have a sketch that you can look at in your packet that was sent to you, and we'll work on that when we work on budgeting and costume item list, which will be things that we have in the future. So we're just going to do an overview of that particular project now. This is our student learning outcome number 4, demonstrate work habits that are safe, efficient, and effective by meeting deadlines on completed projects. So I prompt, take a look at that student learning outcome above. How do you develop safe, efficient, and effective work habits? You know, it's not as easy as it seems. And it's taken a long time for me to learn that. And it was something that was never taught in school. And it's something that I've worked on really significantly to make the most efficient work habits possible, that are effective, that give you the best costume outlook, that things can be accommodate period style, can accommodate multiple people, can accommodate a bunch of different things. How do you meet deadlines? How do you have a complete project finished on time, on budget, with quality work? So that's our golden triangle: on time, on budget, and high quality. When you get all 3 of those things together, that's the golden triangle. How can you keep all costumes progressing at the same pace and to the same degree of completion? And this is something that everyone struggles with. If you have more than one person, then you're going to try to be making sure that all costumes progress at the same pace, that they all are to the same degree of finishedness, that you don't have somebody dressed and somebody that's naked on stage. So you want to make sure that things all happen at the same rate of speed. So these are what we're going to discover, is how to meet these goals through the Crew Handbook project. So this is the Crew Handbook, whether you are in the preparation crew or whether you're in the wardrobe crew. This project was developed to train wardrobe personnel working backstage on a show that may have multiple costume changes, a large number of actors playing more than one role, a wide variety of costume preparations, and a wide variety of costume maintenance. So our project overview is right here. I'm hoping this is going to give me the thing I want. So this is what I developed for the spring, and we're going to work on this for Antigone. It's from page to stage. Vocabulary, you're going to list descriptions of costume shop personnel with at least 5 jobs with descriptions. So remember, we talked about the costume designer, the costume shop manager, the cutter draper, the stitcher, craftspeople, the armorer, the cobbler, the finish people, the ones that do embellishment and embroidery. And so those are also in your textbook. You're going to write a description of what does the costume crew head do, the head of the crew, and what does the costume crew do, and this is backstage. So you have a costume crew head or wardrobe manager. You have the costume crew that may handle quick changes, that handles maintenance, that handles laundry, that handles repairs, that handles all kinds of things. So this is something that we discussed early in the semester, and you'll be doing a written description for this thing. You're creating basically a term paper. And again, like the um, sewing portfolio, this is for you, so that if you ever get into a place where you need to take something from beginning to end, you'll be able to do that. And you'll be able to do it with a smooth and seamless action. And again, this is not taught in schools, really. It's not taught like, just do it this way. And so I'm sorry to say you could do it any way you want, of course. But if you do it this way, you'll save time, you'll save money, and you'll have a better project at the end. So the first thing we'll discuss is how to do a script breakdown. And that will be doing a costume cross plot based on the script, an action chart, and indicate the costume pages changes by page. And I'll provide that for you for Antigone. Antigone has been on your Canvas site from the beginning. It's under your course resources. I'm going to show it to you. And I will do the cross plot for you because I'm working on Antigone right now, and I'll show you what it looks like. Do some tear sheets for this play. So think about the whole play after you read it, and just grab some sheets off of the internet and look at some visuals that will indicate what does this play mean. These first tear sheets you want to have non-figurative. Don't use human beings in these, and I'll give you some examples of that as well. And then we're going to pick some characters that you're going to work on, and you're going to do some tear sheets for those. Here's your point value over here. Organization. You're going to do a production calendar. You're going to do an item list and a dressing list. I have given you a sketch, but if you have a tear sheet, you can work on it from there. You're going to do a budget procurement plan from your item list. All of these things will be discussed, so don't worry that if you don't understand what I'm talking about right now. I'm giving you the overview. Then there's practical, measurement forms, and a measurement schematic, and I'll show you those, and I'll be providing them for you and do a lecture, and you will be able to do measurements. You'll get a rehearsal report form, and you'll get a performance report form that I will email to you because we will have them to work on. Again, in production, you'll do a check-in, check-out list. So when actors come in, they get a certain number of items. That's based on your costume dressing list. And they're checked out to them. And when the performance is over, you check them back in to make sure all of the items have been returned. And we're in the process of doing this for the musical that we just finished. And Wally has realized, oh, somebody seemed to not return their necklace. So now we have to email that person and get it back. And then we're going to look at some costume rental forms. Early on, we talked about costume shop organization. We talked about Western costume, and I'll show you a rental form for Western costume. So that is our first item from page to stage. And let me go back up. As I said, the cross plot I will give to you. The show calendar is something that you want to look at. Here are the items that I generally think about in terms of a calendar. You can write it on a blank calendar. You can do it in a linear process, like just write everything on here. Just ignore these dates. These dates have nothing to do with anything because this didn't even occur. But what did occur is this was all done virtually, so that in the spring, my class met these deadlines by doing them online. They actually met with the actors virtually. They went through their closets with them. They established looks, and that's what we're going to have to do with Antigone. So I have to look for the dates. We haven't really established what the dates are for Antigone because, again, it's going to be virtually released. And when I get to that, I will update this calendar. But please note that this calendar goes in reverse order. It goes in reverse order because you really don't know when to start until you know when you have a show. And sometimes you're hired a year in advance to do a show. Strike is the thing that happens after the last show. You look at the stock, you do the laundry, you return everything back into costume storage. When you return, if you've rented things, you return them to the rental house. If you've borrowed things from UCSB, we return them there. Show call is when we have actors actually performing, and that's when all of the costumes need to be done. We have a laundry and maintenance dry cleaning schedule to accommodate the show call. Now, we filmed for 5 nights last week, but we had each individual ones. We washed in between when they came back for reshoots on Saturday, and now we're in the process of dry cleaning and holding everything together, doing maintenance, because it may be done in person out on the lawn in January. So we're in this process now. Are there going to be dress rehearsals? What do they look like? When do they start putting the costumes on? When do they work with hair and makeup? I generally have them work with the costumes one time first without hair and makeup, because it will save the hair and makeup and the costumes will not get messy. The actors really need a long time to process the idea of getting dressed and how that's going to affect them, and especially if they have multiple changes. When are technical rehearsals, which is when they set lighting or camera angles? Are you going to do a makeup workshop to help them inform what their makeup will look like? Setting up dressing rooms if they're going to dress on campus, and this was really important for our filming last week. We could only allow one person in a dressing room at a time. We had 3 people maximum in a dressing room preset so that they could observe social distancing, so that none of the clothes were close to each other. And then one person dressed at a time. We carefully monitored that. One time we had a 4th person come. Their area was on a rolling rack. That was removed. And the next person came in on a rolling rack. The chairs were sanitized. Their lockers were sanitized. Their whole area was sanitized. Also, we set up the makeup room the same way so that everyone was a minimum of 6 feet apart. Is there going to be a crew view and orientation? And I can share with you the read through of the play Antigone, and I'll send that to you so that you can hear the script out loud. So that all happens right up to when the show goes on. Let's look forward now. What is the first thing that happens? You have some kind of design meetings. How are you going to discuss with the director? If you're the designer, you're going to have a wide variety of materials that you work with. It may be a collage, it may be sketches, it may be, I've shared with the director I sent him some videos, I sent him some trailers, I sent him some different images to look at. Casting has happened. They cast the show, people auditioned virtually. We're now in the production meetings where we're trying to get this idea of how we're going to do this production together. So that's where we're at right now. So I'll put these dates on this calendar for you. Measurements, we're going to start that this week and next week. The designs in the shop. What does the designer want to have these actors look like? Does there need to be patterning for this? What is the costume procurement plan? Will these costumes be pulled from our costume storage? Will they be rented? Will they be made to order? And in this instance, will they be pulled from the closet of the actor? We have some actors that are in Sweden and one in France. We will have to work with them at a very long distance. We'll give them images, and then they'll have to pull from their closet. We'll try and organize things together. We'll make sure that the fit is appropriate. If you're making something, when does the fabric need to be in the shop? When are you going to do alterations? And now you guys have some sewing experience and you recognize how long that's going to take to do alterations. Are you going to have to cut patterns? When will the major construction be done? When are you going to do fittings? Will you have a first fitting? Do you need to have a second fitting? Do you need to have a final fitting? And so all of these things progress for all actors simultaneous. Then you come to the finishing so that you can finish all the clothes at the same time. At least by this point, after your first fitting, you know that everyone is dressed. And you may have to go back and do alterations. You may have to do a little bit of construction on things, but you know everybody will be dressed and there won't be anyone naked. So that's why the calendar keeps you on schedule. It's extremely important. And then I just want to share some of our measurement sheet data. This is the measurement sheet that we use at Santa Barbara City College. It is very extensive. So when actors come in and they get these measurements, they think, can I take a picture of that so I have it forever? I'm going to show you a schematic that will show you where each of these measurements is taken. But from this line up, the actor should know this on their own. What role are they playing? What is the production? What is their email? Do they have a best time to fit? How do they identify gender, height, weight? Trust me, everybody lies. They lie about both things. I've had an actor lie to me and say he was 6'2". We were working in Europe. We were in France. We were doing a bunch of, we were doing 16 Dockers commercials like a film. So we were working with, it was during the salon. So we were working with the male models. It was in the fall. He said, I'm 6'2". He comes in and I said, why did you say you're 6'2"? You're 6'6". He said, well, if I say I'm 6'6", I don't get cast. And I said, well, yes, but if you don't say you're 6'6", your pants are going to be up to your calves. Of course, now that's popular, so I guess it doesn't matter. But I just, people lie about everything. No one's going to tell you how much they weigh. If you can give us this information, we can fit you. All we care about is, can we make you look the way you need to look? Can we make your garments fit you the way that they need to be fit for the character? But it's so hard for each of us to get out of our own body and to address exactly who we are. So costumes deals a lot with psychology. The psychology of the actor, what is their psyche, what is their mindset, how are they going to transform into the character and create that psychology. And as the costumer and the designer, you're trying to carefully lead that actor down the road to the character through the costume that will help describe that character the best. And sometimes the actor doesn't agree with you. So you have to be very, very diplomatic and explain your ways very carefully. What skin tone do they have? What color? How do they identify? What tattoos? Where are they? Take photos. What dress or jacket size do they purchase? Shirt or blouse size, trouser or jean size. When we talk about measurements, I'll talk about what each of these really should be. What is their hat size, shoe size, tights, glove, bra, ring size? Do they have allergies? I've had people allergic to certain kinds of laundry soap. So you want to make sure that they're not going to be washing with that kind of a laundry soap. I've had people allergic to a certain fiber. Wool is a very common one. I had somebody that was allergic to burlap. And weirdly, because we were doing South Pacific and it was very rustic, something that was burlap touched her and she was very affected. Do you have any piercings? How many on each ear? Other piercings, I've had people with nipple piercings and we had to put them into very brief bra and undergarments, and they had to remove the piercings because it would show and it would not be appropriate for their character. So these things, which may seem intimate, when you're talking with costume, it has to just be business as usual. And, you know, if you treat it as business as usual, the actor will treat it as business as usual. What is their hair color? Sometimes it's important to know what is their natural hair color. What is the length and the texture? Sometimes we measure it. Cell phone, home or work. We can probably do away with that now, and their name. These are things the actor should bring to the table. Let me tell you, many of them have no idea. They don't know how tall they are. They think they wear a medium. They think they wear a double XL and they're a skinny mini. You know, it's just like that all goes into preference. But no matter what they put down there, it helps you know who that actor is and where you need to go as the costumer or the designer to get them to the character that the director wants to see, because as the designer, you've been talking to the director. And as a costumer, you're talking to the designer and you are supporting the designer in getting that actor to wear the clothes the way the character needs to wear them. So then we have these different measurements. I have a schematic for you to look at for this from Wig Boys that talks about how to measure for a wig. And all of these different measurements, I'll do a measurement on that for you. Here is a measurement diagram. And this will show you where the measurements are taken. So again, we'll discuss this and I'll tell you where M to N is the shoulder measurement. Whereas the chest measurement, this is the front width for us, around the bust or chest to create where is the actual chest, where is the natural waist. And I'll put this on a mannequin and you'll be able to see each one of these. And then finally, how do we manage this for a whole show? And we do it by looking at a grid. So this is a measurement grid where I can put all the men or all the women on one page. And again, this one-page roadmap is extremely important when you're working with multiple characters. For example, we were working with 17 characters, 17 actors for the previous show. And I think we maybe have 20 something with this current show. And it's important to be able to get their sizing down on one page so that as you're pulling costumes out in storage, you're not wasting time looking through a bunch of different pages. And I always put these in order from smallest to largest because I know that I can make something larger fit somebody smaller. But if I know my largest guy, and for example, on this piece, we had a guy that was a waist 50 and a chest 56, I need to know that. And I need to know, okay, this could be difficult. And at the other end of the spectrum, I had a guy that was 5'4", very small, and a chest size, 34, 35. So the whole spectrum. And then you need to look at that because when you look at it as a whole, you're going from one size to the other and you're looking down the entire, you're always thinking of the stage picture at the end. So if you do it smallest to largest, then when you're pulling in the larger, you think, oh, this could possibly fit the next guy down and I'm going to put it there. So then these measurements that we talked about on our measurement sheet, bust or chest, waist, hip, inseam, outseam, to the knee, these are the ones that we need, height, weight, and then the last one over here, hat size, shoe size. And this empty one, we often put bra size. So that's a lot of information. And just want to check in with you and see how everybody's doing with this overwhelming amount of information.
Really interesting, but it's really kind of overwhelming.
Dense, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
I think it's really helpful, like once you actually physically start doing it, like taking somebody's measurements, writing them into the chart. A lot of it makes more sense and sort of solidifies once you're actually doing it.
Exactly. So this is a gross overview. You do not need to memorize this. You've got the item by item piece on that Crossplot. On the, sorry, not the Crossplot, that's, I'm going to provide that to you, but you have that item by item piece on the Crew Handbook outline. The first thing you need to do is write down what are the jobs in the costume shop, that's item number 1, and what are the jobs that happen on the crew backstage, because then the jobs in the costume shop are the preparation jobs, and the jobs that happen backstage are the ones that are the finishing jobs for when we're actually performing through the end and strike when we return. And then you'll have the whole through line from beginning to end. If you work on those two pieces right now, then everything else will have a lecture on and you can have that in the discussion. So don't get overwhelmed. It is like looking at a term project. You just start one place at a time, okay? So when you go to the page that says Crew Handbook, just open up that first page, which says this is what we need to work on, and then do those sets of definitions. That's the first thing. Then we'll go to measurement. I will upload the Crossplot. In fact, I can show you, I think. Let me see if it's right here. Yeah, okay. So I can show you the Crossplot. And let me just show you what that is. And I'm going to provide that for you because it is a really It's a complex thing. It's something as a designer I always do. I always have the costume shop manager do it. And it is really helpful for organizing the entire play on one page. This is the thing about efficiency. Get all your measurements on one page, get your whole play on one page so that you're not, you know, imagine with having 50 actors trying to look at, oh, wait, what's this guy? Who is he? Where is this? What's his name? But if you're looking in order, at least you can find it quickly. So let's look at this Crossplot. Let's see, wait a second. Why did that say that? Here we go. Okay, I just opened it. Well, we'll go to the desktop and just take a look at this. So this is the, you know, everybody is on one page right here. And then here's the Crossplot for Antigone. All of the characters are listed down the left. And Ashley knows this because I had my TA 103 class, Theater Appreciation, do this for The Tempest. So we now are ready to put in our actor names. This can all be done well in advance. The character who's speaking, and we have non-speaking characters, so that's also very tricky. What is the scene? Or what is the chorus? So you'll see that this is broken up into different scenes. What is the location? What is happening? What is the event that is really moving this scene forward? And then how many pages does it take? The starting line. This is really detailed. So this will be collapsed down so that you can see this. We start off and we immediately know we're starting with Antigone and Ismene. These two characters are speaking. It's the plot to bury the body of Antigone's brother. And then when we go to the next scene, we see it's a parados, the entry of the entry zone. So we have the chorus leader and we have all the chorus. Now this is very misleading because the chorus is going to be 10 people. And if you just look through this cross plot and you don't think about anything else and you go to some place like this, you're thinking, wow, there's a lot of people in this scene. This must be very important. Well, Antigone's arrest. And then we go to this one. What's important in this scene? There's a bunch of bodies on stage right here. So the thing about the cross plot is it helps you look at the arc of the play. We start small. We go to the chorus. We go to here. We go to the chorus. We go to the chorus. The chorus is our townspeople and they explain everything to us. And then we get to a bigger scene where something really important's happening. And it tells us immediately, here's the arc of the play. We start, we have blah, blah, blah. This is what's happening. Boom, big event, blah, blah, blah. Boom, second big event. And then we continue on so that we can see what happens throughout the whole play by just looking at this chart. So that's something that I'll provide for you. I want to tighten it up so it looks more like one page so that you don't get completely confused about what you're looking at. And that you're just going to include in your handbook. And now I'm going to just show you where do you find Antigone. So we're going to look for Antigone back on our Canvas site. Let me just see if I can move that. There we go. Here's our Canvas site. And we go up to modules. And I can move it down also, but it's been under course resources. So about these resources, remember the Writing Center. Top 5 resources. Here's our daily list that we're looking at. Here's our Antigone group project, read the play here. Here's your play critique guidelines. And here's some super fun trailers. And I don't know if you've seen this, but let's look at this one that is by Sophocles so that you can see this. I love these because they give us the play in a nutshell. So take a look at these. Get this out of the way.
you manage a team, you have to try Monday.com. Monday.com is a platform to track every.
Sophocles wrote the ancient play Antigone in 441 BC. The play begins with Antigone speaking with her sister Ismene. Antigone wants help from Ismene to bury their brother Polynices. Antigone repeats Creon's decree that anyone who attempts to bury Polynices will be stoned. Creon is the new king, so his threats are real. But Antigone can't sit idly by while her brother is food for the vultures. She feels compelled to bury him. Yet there's no way Ismene is going to help her. The thought of being stoned to death petrifies Ismene. Ismene reminds Antigone that they have already lost so much of their family due to the curse of Oedipus. Ismene doesn't want to lose Antigone as well. Unfortunately, Antigone makes it clear that she is not going to budge. Antigone is determined to bury Polynices. When Ismene realizes she can't change Antigone's mind, she at least asks Antigone to keep her plan secret. In the next scene, the chorus is praying out loud to the god Apollo. In the prayer, the chorus is giving thanks for their recent victory. Yet the victory came with a steep price. The city of Seven Gates, Thebes, lost 7 of their generals, which they had sent out to defeat the 7 enemy generals. All died, including the brothers Eteocles and Polynices, who represented the opposing sides of the battle. The brothers ended up killing each other with their bare hands. Creon enters and restates his decree. They will bury Eteocles with full military honors. Meanwhile, they will leave Polynices' body out to rot. No one is to bury or grieve for the traitor Polynices. Then, Creon asks the chorus to follow his orders, but they ask that younger men carry out the task. Creon states that isn't an issue, as soldiers are already guarding the body. Then a guard runs into the room. He states that someone has performed a burial of Polynices' body. Unfortunately for the guard, he didn't see who did it. This upsets Creon, and he tells the guard that he had better find out who did, or he will be killed in their place. Creon even accuses the guard of taking a bribe and allowing someone to bury Polynices. The guard leaves to find the perpetrator. Almost immediately, the guard comes walking back into the throne room to speak with King Creon. This time, the guard is hauling Antigone, Creon's niece. The guard claims that he arrested Antigone while she was burying Polynices. The guard explains that when he returned to his post, he swept the dirt off of Polynices. That's when Antigone came back to bury Polynices again and got caught in the act. The guard is relieved, which contrasts the obvious pressure Creon must feel at his new predicament. Antigone immediately admits to the crime. She calls herself guilty and doesn't try to deny it. She continues with an attack on Creon for his immoral decree. She states that she would have rather died than have left Polynices unburied. Creon remarks that even the stubborn Antigone will be made to follow the law, even if it takes violence. Antigone continues to argue with Creon. Her logic is that Polynices deserved a burial as much as Eteocles. She says that Polynices' actions in life should have no bearing on how his remains are treated. Meanwhile, Creon argues that by honoring Polynices, Antigone dishonors Eteocles. Ismene comes into the room and is questioned by Creon. Creon wants to know if Ismene helped Antigone in her treasonous crime. Ismene admits that she did help Antigone, but Antigone won't let Ismene share the blame. Antigone tells Creon that Ismene is lying. Plus, Antigone is angry at Ismene. Antigone remarks that she doesn't need any friends like Ismene, who only help her in words but not in action. Antigone is a dead woman walking. Creon has no intention of sparing Antigone, despite them being family. Additionally, Antigone makes no attempts to try and save herself. Creon imprisons the 2 women while he finalizes his decision. Haman, Creon's son, and Antigone's fiancé at first agrees to defer to Creon's decision. Yet, Haman does make a case for Antigone. Haman states that there is a growing sentiment amongst the population that Antigone does not deserve to die. Her convictions to bury her brother were noble. The chorus weighs in and advises Creon to heed Haman's warning. Unfortunately, the discussion devolves into a shouting match after Creon questions Haman's character. Creon reasons that Haman is a fool to defend a traitor. Haman asks what will be the fate of Antigone, and Creon explains her punishment. Antigone is to be sealed in a cave and starved to death. Tiresias the seer comes in and tries to talk some sense into Creon. Tiresias claims that Creon is making a huge mistake. His biggest mistake is his incapability to admit that he was wrong to not bury Polynices. After the seer leaves, the chorus advises Creon to take Tiresias seriously. According to the chorus, the seer has never been wrong before. The chorus suggests Creon release Antigone and then bury Polynices. Creon finally agrees and leaves to free Antigone. Unfortunately, a messenger comes in and informs the chorus that Antigone and Haman are both dead. Haman, frustrated at Creon's decision, took his own life. Eurydice, the queen of Thebes, comes in when she overhears the messenger. She's stunned and asks the messenger to repeat his message. The messenger says that Haman found his love, Antigone, strangled by a rope. Haman got extremely upset. He tried to kill his father, but then turned his sword on himself. When Creon returns to the palace, we learn that Eurydice has also killed herself. The messenger tells Creon that before Eurydice committed suicide, she cursed Creon for having taken away her only son. Creon can't believe what has happened. He admits that he is responsible for the death of his son and his wife. Creon is so shocked by the events that have transpired that he's not even able to walk away. Instead, he has to command his guards to come and carry him away. The end.
Okay, so that's a really fun way to look at Antigone. And that's something that we have on our site under resources. So you'll want to check that out. And then if we go back to our site, you can look at a really fun trailer for Antigone and just see what.
Enlève ta veste, regarde ici dans la caméra.
This is
Tu as le droit
Antigone.
de faire un appel, puis ici on a une liste des avocats pour la jeunesse. Non, merci. Mais tu devrais appeler tes parents si tu veux que quelqu'un assiste à ton interrogatoire. Ouais, Justin.
Tu veux aider un petit criminel à gravir les échelons du crime organisé, c'est ça? Tu sacrifies ta liberté pour lui.
Je suis solidaire de ma famille.
Peu importe ce que tes frères ont fait. Tu t'embarques dans quelque chose de pas mal plus gros que tu penses, ma petite fille.
J'ai peur pour toi. Fais ce qu'il faut. C'est tout. Enlève ta veste. Regarde ici dans la caméra.
Okay, so that gives you Antigone in a nutshell. I selected the French version because it's contemporary. It really shows the vitalness of the story and how important it is. This is a story that I said was totally appropriate for us to do now. I think it's a great story that we can be thinking of in the pandemic about, of course, an election year. And by the way, everyone should make their plan to vote. But just because there's a lot of controversy that goes on in this play. So you can take a look at those again. They're very short, and that will really help you understand the whole story of Antigone, which we're going to start working with. questions? No questions? Anybody want to stick around and do some sewing?
Pam, I have a quick question about the Antigone, the second piece that you showed.
Yeah.
Is that like something you can watch on Netflix or?
You know what? I think it probably is. You know, it would be a great one to watch. There's lots and lots of Antigones. I mean, I must have sent 7 of them to Michael, the director.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah, that one is really dynamic.
Yeah, it looked really interesting.
And it's very contemporary. And we are doing a contemporary version of Antigone. It will not be an historical version, but it'll be contemporary. We're trying to locate, you know, how can we unify the chorus, because it will be filmed on different Zoom platforms by individuals on their cell phones and on their computers. So we're working through a lot of technical parts of it to try and get a whole, which is different than the play that you can look at this Friday. No, the 17th, I think that might be Saturday. Anyway, the musical review that we did last time where the camera was very controlled. So it'll be really interesting. Whole new world. So I want you to work with those characters too. Like you can start thinking about how can you think about how would this character look, right? And how would you go about trying to get them to procure that out of their own closet, or where can they find something, or what can work for something else? And that's why when we did our jewelry project, which was a found object project, this is a very large found object project. So we come full circle. Any other questions? As otherwise we can just end class a little bit early. Or if you have a particular sewing thing, I can absolutely hang around and we can try and solve those things as well. Nope.
Pam, a quick question. The recorded lecture for today for the sewing when will that be up?
It takes several minutes. I mean, like when I do an hour one, it takes almost an hour for it to process on YouTube. So I can start it as soon as the meeting's over, and then I'll try and post it if I can. What I'll try and do is, this is what I try and do. I try and set it up on my desktop so I can take my laptop into the makeup class, because I have to keep the window open and process it on a different computer. So I'll try and get it up today by 6 p.m.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks.
I'll try and get them both up. So you'll have the Crew Handbook one, which will be up in the Crew Handbook pages, just as an overview. And then you'll have the understitching one, which will be on your understitching page, and you'll have a separate assignment page to submit it.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Any problems with submission? I've had a lot of people email me about different kind of submission ways to submit. So just let me know about that, because it's hard for me to manage having, 15 different people send me a bunch of different emails, and it's much more concise if it's uploaded during Canvas. So I can try and like extend dates so that even if it's late, it's uploaded. That's always best. Okay. All right, let's pause the recording.